Let's read something else here, and then I'm done. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Now, this is very familiar to you, and it would be really not good thing to talk about love, God's love, without reading this chapter, because this is the most famous exposition and explanation of the love of God. So I think we'll just conclude with that. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. The King James translators, in order to try to make the distinction between the different words in the Greek language that are used for love, they use in chapter 13 the word charity for this Greek word agape, which means the love of God. But in our language, in our usage, the word charity means Salvation Army and Goodwill, in the secondhand store. That's what we. So I'm not going to use the word charity. I'm going to go ahead and say love where it says charity. But in the King James translation, that's why they say charity, to say that there's a different word here. And let's begin reading with verse 4. In King James it says, "Charity or love suffers long and is kind. Charity or love envies not. Love vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, does not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity or love never faileth." And then he goes on to talk about prophecies and tongues, but we'll just stop with that. Love never fails. Now, in that I read over there, that's beautiful and that is poetic, but a lot of those words we don't use in our everyday language, and the message is sort of lost to us because we don't use those words. So I'd like to read that again with verse 4. Anton, would you give me the Amplified translation? I bet I tricked you. You thought I was going to read the message. The Amplified translation says, listen to this now. This is going to be in language that we can understand all the words. "Love endures long and is patient and kind." Endures long, and while it's enduring long, is also patient and kind. Now that is a bigger challenge than you might think at first blush. You can endure long and be fussy when you're doing it. But he says, love endures long and is patient and kind while it's enduring long. Love never is envious, nor boils over with jealousy. It is not boastful or vainglorious, does not display itself haughtily, that means pridefully. It is not conceited, and in case you don't know what it means, in parentheses he says, arrogant and inflated with pride. It is not rude or unmannerly, does not act unbecomingly. Love, that is God's love in us, does not insist on its own rights or its own way, for it is not self-seeking. Now that is a real challenging one there, because as Americans, we're big on talking about our rights, and we should be in a political sense, but in the Christian sense, in the God sense, in the spiritual sense, love doesn't, in other words, I don't have to have my way. I can afford for you to have your way. That's what love does. Love, God's love in us, does not insist on its own rights or its own way. It's not self-seeking. It's not touchy or fretful or resentful. Now let's just be honest. Can we just be honest? Sometimes we feel touchy. Am I right? Sometimes we feel resentful. Sometimes we feel fretful, touchy, fretful, in a reaction to the way people treat us. Sometimes we have that response. But listen, just because we feel that way, just because we have that response, doesn't mean we have to keep that. Doesn't mean we have to dwell on it. See, we have the capacity to stop and say, I know that hurts my feelings, that I feel touchy, but we can say, wait a minute. See, we have the capacity to choose how we respond. And if you'll make it your purpose to do so, and if these words have sunk down into your heart, you can say, wait a minute, love is not touchy or fretful or resentful. I just refuse to be touchy, fretful, or resentful. The real you on the inside is bigger than your feelings. Your feelings are not you. Can I tell you a really deep truth here? Get ready, this is very profound. I want to tell you something. Most people are ruled by their feelings. But I'll tell you that your feelings are an after effect. Feelings come after the way you think. Feelings always follow after the way you think. Whatever you give your mind to, your feelings will line up with that eventually. Did you hear that? Did everybody hear that? Whatever you purpose and give your mind to, your feelings will line up with that. Love, the kind of love we're talking about, is a decision. It's not a feeling. It's a commitment. It's not a feeling. Listen, the feelings come after the decision. I notice nobody's really cheering about this message here today. But this is all very practical and good. So what I'm encouraging us to do, in those little times in life where we're at a crossroads, when we can respond one of two different ways, or many different ways, let's remember what we read, what's in the Scripture. Let's remember how God loved us. And we can say, see, it's okay to say, I feel a certain way, but I am not going to be ruled by my feelings. I am going to rule my feelings. Now see, people who are ruled by their feelings are up and down and in and out, and they're inconsistent, and they experience that inconsistency in their life. But if you want to have a strong and a stable and a consistent life, you've got to make decisions that are compatible with that. Love is not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of the evil done to it. Ooh, you thought it was bad before. Now listen to this. It takes no account of the evil done to it. Now, see, this is not to say that you don't feel like taking account of the evil done. And when somebody's wronged me, you want to save that up. But see, you can choose not to. I see a few heads nodding. You can choose not to. I just want to let that sink in. You can choose not to. You know how I know? Because he says so right here. It takes no account of the evil done to it. Pays no attention to a suffered wrong. Now this, again, easy to say it, hard to do it. But that's our... we can choose that. That's what I want to say. And listen, feelings can line up afterwards. That's what I say. I say, I'm not going to be ruled by my feelings. I'm going to choose to live like God lives toward me. I'm going to choose to act like God acts toward me. That doesn't mean I'm going to make stupid decisions. You know, like the guy who thought he should give the keys to the guy that robbed. You know, we don't have to do that. But we can let things go. We can forgive. You know. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's read another one, Anton. It does not rejoice at injustice and unrighteousness, but rejoices when right and truth prevail. And then finally the last verse says, love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ever ready to believe the best of every person. Its hopes are fadeless under all circumstances, and it endures everything without weakening. That's a pretty good thought, isn't it? Let's all stand up today. I want to commend you and thank you for being patiently enduring today.
Jesus is my